wish I could say the same for the others.
You look exhausted. You're pushing yourself too hard. You don't have to bear the burdens of this hospital alone.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
According to the report I read, your unprofessional conduct put a patient in danger, Gwyneth.
That's not true. I know when my patient's life is at risk, and I'm more competent than a lot of doctors that I know. Problem is, I'm a woman.
I don't see what your gender has to do with your abilities, Nurse.
Yes, nurse. Because I'll never be a doctor, no matter what my skills. I could make a decision that could save a life, but oh no, that's unbecoming conduct.
Have you heard of Elizabeth Blackwell? She was the first woman listed on the UK Medical Register. Change is slow, but it will come. And you will always have my support.
To have the right to study shouldn't be determined by sex, skin, or wealth. That's all I'm saying.
Goodbye, Nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
We are overwhelmed by this horrifying epidemic.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Nurse Brannigan has been recently accused of neglecting her professional duties. Tell me what you really think about it.
This kind of protest is nothing but elitist bullshit. I trust Nurse Brannigan with my life. She has what it takes to be a great doctor.
Do you really think she could be the next Elizabeth Blackwell?
Believe me, Dr. Reed, a time will come when skill and skill alone will determine who can be a physician and who cannot.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
At least that mistress of the dark stopped following me.
It's locked, all right. In this letter, Mortimer Goswick does nothing to hide his desire to die. I could give it to his mother, but doing so would betray his trust.
Look at it!
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move.
Continues.
I will not let you down, my boy.
But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
My sweet girl.
Good
You
evening,
like
sir.
a book?
Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
medical report says you're not affected by the Spanish flu. What do you think of that, Mortimer?
Does it make me happy? Not in the slightest. If it was up to me, I would have left this place long ago. I know I don't belong here.
And why do you think you don't belong here?
I know the staff have more important things to do than look after me. There's plenty of patients here who need their attention.
I've read your letter, Mortimer. You wrote about an unbearable feeling of despair while the world crumbles around you. Tell me more about it.
There's nothing more to say, really. It's hurtful, it's unbearable, and I don't ask anyone to understand what I feel.
Despair is a deadly poison I've tasted myself, sir. We're only tempted to drink it because we're terrified by the uncertainty of the next minute.
I know that perfectly, Doctor. For I waited for so long, hoping that the next minute would be less unbearable.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Mortimer is extremely vague as to his motivations for committing suicide. Tell me more about what you know.
As you say, Mortimer had no reason to die. All he said to me was that he wanted to make the world a better place, but couldn't.
Why did your son feel so useless when facing the world?
I think it was more that he could only see the melancholy facets of life. He couldn't help but dwell on such things.
What do you think he meant by making the world a better place?
Mortimer has always been a sensitive soul. He wouldn't talk to anyone for months after his father passed. It's like he carries everyone's sadness with him.
Do you realize your son could try to kill himself again? He might succeed next time.
I think about it every minute. But I won't stop fighting for my son's future. That's how much I love him.
You're right. Your son's death was not fatal. And unlike many on their own, he is lucky to have you by his side.
I can't give up on him. I just can't. I have conceded many times in my life, but giving up on my son is something I am incapable of.
I have read your son's suicide note. It was not an impulsive gesture, nor was it his first attempt.
He threatened to kill himself a few times before. But I never thought he would dare to punish me this much.
Punish you? Why?
I've known for a long time he was not happy with his life. But I always hoped he cared enough to avoid making me suffer like this.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have retrieved your letter, Mr. Goswick. I can assure you that nobody read it but me.
Thank you. This is for you, then. For your help. And for your silence.
I think you should talk to your mother. It would be good for both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. I'll think about it. Now please, let me be.
Your mother won't let you down, Mortimer. Don't you share her hope for a better future?
No, I don't.
Won't you even try?
Do you want me to promise you I'll get better? Do you want me to tell her the same thing? I could, but it would not change anything.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful, I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and the owner is missing. All I found was your order.
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate they're ready to burgle a shop for drugs.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests on hopeless cases. Without success, I must admit.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reed? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiments, I may try to gather these substances and even help improve upon the mixture.
That's all I'm asking for, Dr. Reed. That's all I'm asking.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people from this epidemic. Speak to me now, Thoreau.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your steps, Dr. Reed. I'm casting away the shadows of ignorance by daring to face them.
Self-confidence is essential in our line of work, my young colleague, but only if tempered with the correct amount of cynicism.
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reed. I've read all your articles and books. You performed the most daring research during the war.
You have my support, Dr. Strickland. I know exactly what it feels like to battle an unknown disease with only your mind and force of will to help you.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. You don't know what that means to me.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. I can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.